I realized that there's so much beauty and power and ability to communicate through poetry that took off like wildfire. So when I was 8 years old, I started getting bullied, and I had a lisp and a stutter at the time, and also some learning disabilities, and it began there. And as the years went on, it only got worse because it wasn't just social bullying or physical bullying, but it was also cyberbullying. In my freshman year of high school, a girl I had never met who went to my old school in New York dressed up as me for Halloween, posted it online, and it went viral. And suddenly I was bombarded with thousands of people telling me to kill myself, telling me that my life was worth nothing, and I had never met these people. That experience hit me in a way that I didn't know it would. Before that experience, I had struggled with my mental health because of bullying, but I had not gone to such a dark place as I did when I experienced that cyberbullying attack. And so a few weeks later, I saw a poster for an international film festival, and they were accepting screenplays. Something, and I can't tell you what it was, but something drew me to that poster. And I went home and I wrote a screenplay about bullying and suicide, and I submitted it, and I wound up winning, and I was the youngest person in history to win. And in that moment, I recognized, okay, this is something I'm good at, it's something I love, and maybe writing is what I'm meant for, maybe it's my purpose. I didn't know what would come of it, but I wanted to write the book that I never had, but I always needed. So I self-published it, and then 1 month after I self-published it, Scholastic acquired it. Actually, when I was in school, I hated poetry. The reason why I hated it was because I had different, learning disabilities, and I never did well in poetry class or poetry assignments. I was at a different rate of learning than the rest of my peers, and I also never really followed the rules of poetry necessarily, and so my teachers didn't really like that, and so I always failed all my poetry assignments, and I did not like poetry at all. Now I say all of this because it's very ironic that I have now found my way into poetry, and how that happened was when I was writing my first book, I also didn't know how to write a book, and I just started writing at the time what I thought was kind of like rap music, but really it was poetry. I wrote my story into a 15-minute poem that was very Hamilton style, just going from the very beginning to where I'm at now. And that was the thing that took off like wildfire. There's so much beauty and power and ability to communicate through poetry. And then in the years following, as I would go all over the country and share this, and it was this universal thing, I also was writing poetry about what I felt it was like to be a girl and a woman in this world today, and sharing it online. And very quickly my community grew from 10,000 followers to 250,000 followers, and people from all over the world. The more that I saw the impact, and the more that I wrote as a discipline, I fell in love with it, and it brought me to here. And now I just think it's so funny that I used to hate poetry. I think that we live in a world now where if your voice is not heard through one stream, it can be heard through so many other streams. These untraditional paths are now being recognized on a more traditional or validated level. And so if you're not heard in one place, just say thank you next and go to the next place. And you have to trust that if you have this vision and this dream, that you will be able to get there, but it might take longer, and it might be that you will get a lot of no's, but that doesn't mean that there isn't going to be someone that's going to hear you. It has been a journey, and I'm still on that journey. I have not found my way there at all. In fact, a few days ago, actually this past weekend, I was really struggling with a lot of my own, how I see myself. I almost felt myself falling into my younger self that really struggled and did not have self-worth at all. And in that moment, I realized that you never really get to that place. There isn't a destination that you arrive at and you're like, I'm perfect, I'm happy, all is good. No, it's everyday work. And I think once you realize that, it in a way becomes easier, because you know that your bad days are just that. They're your bad days, but there will also be many good days ahead. You know, I have gone to therapy. I have worked on it through my writing and poetry. I've worked on it by only allowing really healthy relationships into my life and cutting out the toxic ones, which sometimes can be incredibly hard and painful. But what I realized is if you keep toxicity in your life, then all the good work you're doing for yourself doesn't really matter. So you really have to be proactive for yourself and make sure that you are building the life that is conducive to feeling your best. Well, I think in terms of choosing the poems that I want to share, it usually is this like gut instinct feeling that like I write something, like I wrote The Truth About Being a Girl in 10 minutes, and when I was finished I was like, this needs to be in the world. I don't know how it's going to be out in the world, but it needs to be, and like I just know that for a fact. So there have been these like moments where I just feel that, and it's kind of like this driving force that's like in myself but not in myself, that's like, you're gonna go there with this piece and that's it. And I don't really know where the poems come from. Like I wrote The Truth About Being a Girl and I looked at it and I was like, I have no idea where you came from. Like I wasn't really feeling any of this right now, but like, cool, you're here. Which I think is like a really, really cool moment where I feel more like the vessel than the messenger, sharing it with so many people. It's very strange and it's probably not a satisfying answer, but when my videos are viewed, you know, millions of times or tens of millions of times, I don't necessarily feel like those are real people. And so there is this like distance. I don't feel as vulnerable as one might be if like you're actually standing in front of all those people. But in the moments where I've been able to perform live for like 18,000 people, that's been the largest audience live that I've done, it's really cool because you're obviously terrified when you're going out there, and then you're standing there and there's this like feeling that in a way you're connected to every single person standing around you, whether or not they agree with you, whether or not they've shown up for you or not. There's just like this like universal feeling of like, we're connected, we're all here for this one experience. And it's so emotional in a way. Like there have definitely been a few times where I've almost cried. I'm like, Aija, don't cry, don't cry. But yeah, it's been really incredible. Just knowing that those people are out there and that they actually look at my writing and feel seen or feel heard is such a crazy thing that it's hard to wrap my mind around. I feel so lucky that people feel that way about my writing, and it's just so weird because like I'll read stuff and I'll feel seen or heard by something, and the fact that my writing has done that for someone else is, I don't know, it's mind-boggling to be very honest with you. But it's really cool and I'm very, very grateful for it.